All right, everybody, welcome to the Pennymon Doctrine Podcast. I, of course, am your host, John J1 Pennymon. Ooh, I'm about to say Pitney. My last name is not Pitney, but where did I even get that from? And with me always on my trusty rusty co-host, we got Molly McIntyre, Madam President of the Pennymon Podcast Network. What's up, Molly?
Oh, you know, living a dream.
Living La Vida Loca. And also the indubitable Eddie Humano. What's up, Pimpin?
What's good, yo?
That's what's good? Nothing. The podcast is what's good right now.
Oh, okay.
All right. Sorry, I'm trying to do producer things at the same time. It's throwing me off a little bit. So, what's going on with everybody, man? What's new?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, anybody. What's up?
you go first, Molly.
Not a whole lot's going on with me. A lot of work this week, and yeah, I'm pretty boring today.
Do you not have your camera on?
My camera's on.
My
camera is on. I'm just not sure why it's not picking up. I was frozen forever. It keeps putting me back and forth.
Restart it and start it again.
Okay.
Or something. I don't know.
Sure.
Well, that's good. I mean, yeah, it's been a boring half week. You also got to keep in mind it's Wednesday, folks, and we're doing an earlier show for scheduling reasons, and so we got to accommodate schedules, man. We gotta be a part of the team, and so we're doing the show a little bit early, but that's all good. It's all good. It's all great. We got a good show for you today. What's up with you, Eddie, man? What's new with you, man?
Oh yeah, man, work's been pretty good. Just been trying to make moves, make inroads, trying to get my name out there, all that good stuff. So, yep, and just trying to end the week on a good note, man. Get ready for the weekend. Know what I'm saying?
Get ready for the weekend, bitches! Oh, dang, I was trying to work on my cursing here. Well, what I have done this week is I have become a galactic traveler. Yes, folks, No Man's Sky has released, and John J1 Pennymon, a.k.a. that nigga in space, is going around colonizing planets, mining resources. Currently, right now, I'm farming resources in order to get a brand new ship. That's about 1.8 million units. It's got a lot of space. It's real big, real nice. That's what's up. No Man's Sky.
Well, I'm playing it too. I just don't have as much time.
Yeah, I actually swiped that yesterday.
What was that? That was a weird thing that went on. The video is being really weird right now. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Wow. Sorry, YouTube, but for whatever reason, no, that's terrible. That's even worse.
Anyway, yeah, I enjoy that game as well. I just really haven't had the time to really play it yet. Whenever I actually have free time, it's like midnight, and then I'm tired.
Yeah, that does happen. But hey, that's new with us. But the other thing that was going on, I kind of wanted to harp about a little bit before we got to the headlines or whatever, is everybody checking out the Olympics? I'm not really.
I'm not.
I mean, I'm paying attention, but like, I'm not watching it.
I saw the dude snap his leg, which is pretty awesome.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
So what was that, Eddie?
New.
What is this, ATL? What are you, Lauren London now all of a sudden?
New.
Wait a minute. New. Okay, well, that's an interesting response. Yeah, well, it's the Olympics going down, and there's always the things that everybody loves and everybody doesn't love about the Olympics. And so quickly, I wanted to know what people's favorite and least favorite event or thing of the Olympics.
Gymnastics. Ever since I was little, I wanted to be a gymnast, but I was always too short and too fat, I was told by my mean little elementary school friends.
Wow, that's really harsh.
Yeah, so I remember I had to like do a front handspring with no hands to like join the pool club, and I totally like wiped out and knocked my wind out.
Ooh.
And from then on, I decided to never even try to like take gymnastics classes because I had already failed.
You're not supposed to take the Travis Scott song seriously.
I don't know what you mean.
The one where it's like, gotta do it with no hands, gotta do it up the way your booty goes.
I was in second grade,
Mm-hmm.
so that song definitely does not apply.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the only thing that you had going there was just no hands. So
Well.
good try.
I tried to put it in there.
That's what she said.
Eddie, what's your favorite and least favorite part of the Olympics? It's not even the event, just anything.
So I'd say if there's a favorite thing, most favorite thing, it'd be well, honestly, just watching all the different sports events. You know, there's a lot of variety to pick from. The competitive element is there, so it makes it quite exciting to watch. I think track and field's always been a popular one. Soccer's always been a popular one. The diving, the swimming's always been popular. So I don't know, man. I feel like it's hard to go wrong in terms of watching the sports. I don't really care too much for the ceremonial stuff, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I feel like it.
Yeah, my other favorite sport is the powerlifting because of Kendrick Ferris,
Who's that?
the guy that we have for the U.S. team that broke the U.S. record for most weight lifted. He's lifted 800 pounds. He's a vegan.
Yeah. Oh, the vegan dude. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know what
And
you're talking about.
I'm pretty sure that me and him are going to get married. So
I mean,
I'm
hey,
really looking forward to it.
Yo, I'm gonna be like, yo, let me hold that goal real quick. Let me see what that be feeling.
No, you're not invited.
Oh, that's some bullshit. What's your least favorite thing?
I don't have one.
Oh, ooh. This girl loves her Olympics. What's your least favorite thing, Eddie?
I don't really have one either, man. Though what is funny, they said the first gold. I did hear the first gold went to for USA went to shooting. So
Yes. Yeah. And joining us, we have the guest of honor today, YouTuber Tyrone. Satsu 2 cents. Check out this channel because he always gives us 2 cents. Gillard, welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. We're good in here. We're gonna get into your introductions later, so we're just gonna have you do kind of like an impromptu. What's your favorite, least favorite thing about the Olympics? And then people are gonna be like, "Well, who's this voice in the background?" And be like, "Screw headlines." And you're gonna be like, "Wait a minute, there was a voice in the background." I'll be like, "Ha ha! You gotta wait to the end." Okay, my bad. What's your favorite and least favorite thing about the Olympics, my friend?
I'd have to say my favorite thing is watching all the fuck-ups afterwards. I think that's entertaining. I always get a kick out of just watching these highly trained Olympians bust their asses. I think that's kind of entertaining.
That is pretty entertaining. I'll give you that. What's your least favorite?
My least favorite is the drama that's tied to it a lot. Like, I don't know what it is, but every year there's always some type of drama tied to the Olympics. And it's just stupid shit that has nothing to do with the actual games. You know what I mean? It's just, like, for example, the girl, the American gymnast or whatever, who I guess people were talking shit about her hair. I'm like, she's a fucking Olympian, dude.
Yeah.
She's an Olympian.
Yeah.
Like,
I really don't get what the issue is with that either, but people, they always got to find something. And that's what I was going to say. My favorite part of the Olympics is watching, and I watch it in clips. I've never been.
I guess I thought you meant favorite sport event. I wasn't thinking like
Thing. What's your
topics
favorite thing?
tied to the Olympics. Because in that case, my least favorite thing is the fact that the people of Brazil are basically getting fucked over.
Oh, you mean every city that hosts the Olympics? Yeah.
Okay, about this Olympics going on right now in Brazil 2016, my least favorite part is that these people are being completely misplaced, and it's going to screw them over big time.
Agreed. And I was just adding the point for those that didn't know that this happens every time there is an Olympic celebration. Extravaganza! They always misplace people, especially, I mean, even when it's here in America. So, I mean, that is a very unfortunate part. For me, like I was saying, you know, I love to see the people who train their whole lives. You know what I mean? Like I think people look at sports as just like, oh, they're just dumb jocks, and, you know, kind of stuff like that, and, you know, think that they're just playing a game. But to do it at a level that is proficient and efficient enough to hit the world stage, especially with some of these minors who can't even do a lot of these things professionally, for the most part. I mean, yes, they do it professionally, but I mean, as far as like if there was a league, right? To see them showcase their stuff, you know, and then see them for sometimes decades. So I think that's pretty cool. But the least favorite thing is I would have to agree with you, Tyrone. The drama and all like the back stuff is the stuff that kind of bugs me about it, because I know that they're trying to have like their feel good story kind of you know, just filler while the games are going on, and that's fine. But when it gets into like drama stuff, and when it comes to Gabrielle, you know, what was her name? Gabrielle. I want to say Giffords, but that's not right. With her hair and everything, that's stupid. But I also find that it's interesting is that not only did one whenever the Olympics happen, like the International Olympic Committee has to have like millions of condoms on hand because all these athletes just screw the shit out of each other. And then the other thing that I think is hilarious is that Russia not only had their Olympic team, some of their Olympic team caught doping, but then they had their para-Olympic team caught doping. Like, you mean even the ones that are like disabled were doping? Like, wow, that is
Disabled.
Yeah, the Paralympics.
Oh. I thought you were just making fun of people, and I was like, that's really fucked up, John.
Why would I make fun of people like that?
Well, I'm not sure. That's why I was gonna say, wow, that's really fucked up, John.
Oh.
But now I understand.
We have some clarity, folks. We are clear. We are in the clear. All right. Well, it's good to hear everybody's thoughts on the stuff going on with the Olympics, what you like and what you don't like. But let's go on to some headlines real quick, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes at hand. I'm so excited. I've been wanting to talk to Tyrone for a long time. All right, here we go. Headlines. All right. Well, first and foremost, the Department of Justice released its report on the racial bias that had been going on with the Baltimore Police Department. So, I mean, for those that have their head under a rock, you know, there's been states and cities that have had consent decrees after they've done an investigation with the Department of Justice, and Baltimore seems to be another one of those cities that is dealing with that. And based off of, you know, what I've been hearing from a lot of people that have been living in Baltimore and are doing things in Baltimore, they say that nothing is really going to change. So,
I mean,
sucks. But there is a report that shows racial.
The thing is, look,
bias.
they did the same thing for Ferguson, and not much has changed. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well,
Yep. I mean, I just, you know, I guess there's more validity because it's coming from the Department of Justice, but it's just kind of like, I don't know, if your eyes are open, should not be much of a surprise, but do I think this is going to change anything down the road? No. I don't think this will change anything.
right. I feel you. And I mean, it's just one of those things that I always say that, you know, it takes a credentialed white guy for you to believe what I'm saying, and that's what it seems like in this case. Like, you know, I've been to Baltimore before, and I'm not saying that, you know, my little bit of time near the area means that I'm an expert by any means, but, you know, there was just a lot of underhand stuff that was going on there that you can tell. And if you know the history of Maryland, especially the history of Baltimore, you know, this is not news, but how they handle it forward, I guess, is the important thing. Federal data shows firefighting chemicals are in U.S. drinking water sources. This was a little crazy to me. Go ahead, Mom.
This one really didn't surprise me, because if you want to take a look at, you know, the water that a lot of cities have been drinking, including Flint, there's tons of videos of YouTube videos out there of people literally setting their water on fire because it is full of so many toxins. So in a way, I don't think I'm completely surprised that there's firefighting chemicals in water, because if you can set it on fire, I guess we want to hope that we can be able to not set our water on fire. So pretty screwed up again.
Thank God.
What'd you say, Eddie?
I said the fact that they're setting it on fire, to build off of what Molly was saying.
Well, yeah, what Molly's talking about is fracking stuff, and that the water supplies in cities that, or municipalities, I should say, that do fracking.
I think there's a lot of places in Texas that have water that lights on fire.
Even in the Midwest, they do a lot of shale fracking and stuff like that. So, but when it comes to this, though, this is showing the firefighter chemicals that are. I think the report was saying that there was 6 million people are affected by this in 14 states. And then when you add fracking, I don't know. They didn't say what specific states. I wasn't able to actually read the report, though I may do that in the future, just for my own, you know, knowledge. I don't know how many of those overlap or not, but when you add how many people are deal with fracking, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to make an uneducated guess, but you know, that's a good significant amount of people. And you know, I always ask, and not even jokingly, I had this one guy when I was young, like a water filter salesman or whatever. He came through and he was like showing, you know, did tests and how acidic was the water, and I was surprised, and it's always freaked me out. Like, I really don't like drinking tap water at all.
He really doesn't. It really is annoying at times.
It bugs me, but
you guys
it is what it is.
Those filtered pitchers?
No, we have Molly that goes to the store to pick up like 4 gallons of water at a time.
I mean, no matter how it comes, it gets here. The parents of 2 Benghazi victims sue Hillary Clinton for wrongful death. I'm just going to defer to you guys because I got something I want to add to that at the end. So go ahead.
I don't really have much on this one. This is one of those things where I feel like people always are looking for a way to get paid, and I understand and I get it. I'm not sure if going after Hillary Clinton is the most effective way of settling the debt. Huh?
At this point in time as well? Like, is this really the best time to be suing?
She's about to be president. Why
Come
not
on,
sue
man.
the president? That just sounds like fun. Like, what are you doing today? I'm suing the president.
Right. It's just
Why?
political
Something that happened
theater,
4
bro.
years ago, but she's about to be president, so yeah.
Right.
I'm
It's
doing it.
It's just political theater. So my thing about it is, and surprisingly, I mean, these are already my thoughts for the most part, because, you know, if you already know what Benghazi actually is, the fact that people are pinning it on Hillary Clinton is just ridiculous in and of itself. But surprisingly, FoxNews.com had an editorial, an op-ed, that was just like, this is completely ridiculous. I don't know why they would do these things. Like, there's no way that you're going to be able to pin Hillary Clinton on this. If you look at what the investigation brought out, what the facts on the ground were, what the story has been this whole time, Hillary Clinton is just the head of the Department of Justice. And, I'm sorry, was the Secretary of State, excuse me. And even though that, she was the head of it, what had been going down through her agency, and there had been no malfeasance through her agency. It was just, I guess what you would deem a terror attack, but it was just an attack on a consulate. It happens. Sorry. That's what you get when you create a power vacuum in a country that doesn't need to have a power vacuum. But, it's just political maneuvering and just something to keep in the headlines. But I put it in the headlines because I wanted to get that part out. That if you actually pay attention to Benghazi from the get-go, like, they're like, they blamed it on a video. Yeah, because there were protests that were happening in multiple countries because of the YouTube video. So facts on the ground were there was a protest happening near this consulate, and they thought that it was through these protests that was going on in other countries. That would be a reasonable conclusion to draw. Come to find out, it was a staged attack that was probably going to happen anyway, but maybe that protest had a little bit more to it. I don't know. That's how terror attacks happen. Dude died. They took care of it. Boom. 4 years later, millions of dollars, investigation, tens to hundreds of hours on Fox. Hillary Clinton. Yeah, remember the Benghazi rap? For the loyal listeners would know the Benghazi rap, but it's just one of those things where it's just like there's so many things that you can talk crap about Hillary Clinton about. This is not one of them. Last but not least, federal officials. Oh, go ahead, Eddie. My bad.
I mean, if you're going to have a story like this in the news, I'm just going to assume you're having a slow news day.
No, I mean, that's a big headline based off of what is going on right now. Someone's suing the front-running presidential nominee.
Yeah, you got two people suing Hillary Clinton. I mean, or Benghazi. Like, come on, man. Like,
it's a headline because people can't get over the fact that 4 people died in the Benghazi thing.
No, they can get over the fact they really don't give a shit about the 4 dudes dying. They're
if
just
you're looking at like Fox News, they really, really care about Benghazi a lot.
Right.
But then to editorial about saying that the lawsuit's ridiculous.
I mean, the editorial about the lawsuit being ridiculous is just a way for Fox News to kind of get their credibility back after they finally got rid of Roger Ailes. And then on top of the fact that Donald Trump has lawsuits that are pending and going through multiple lawsuits.
Some of those are rape allegations, just so
I mean, yeah, but who cares? I didn't even want to mention Donald Trump's name because
I know, but I mean,
he's not really running for president.
Well, I know, but okay, yeah.
And that's what it is, Eddie. I mean, I just put it in there because there are people that, on both sides, that are just like, nah! And everybody just needs to just relax. Benghazi's not what they made it out to be. Trump's not running for president. Just get over it.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you had something to add. My bad.
No, I think it's a funny thing just because, I mean, all the things that they've been trying to cover and have been covering, and then all of a sudden it's just whoop, Benghazi.
Yeah, that's their thing. That's how they do it, man. They've been doing it successfully for 30 years. That's why Donald Trump is not running for president right now.
Right.
Last but not least, federal officials seek to stop social media abuse of nursing home residents. I picked this one because this is probably something that Molly is would have some knowledge on or have some opinions about. Number one. Number two, I think this is horrible. Well, go ahead, Molly. What are your thoughts?
I really don't have. No, I'm just joking.
I was like, no, not now.
No, I think this one's really interesting though. For really a few reasons. And this was good that you put on there because it gets me to talk, but this one could get me to talk too much. So
go ahead.
Just stick to basics. But in regards to like the laws, like HIPAA, it's up to the family who has like power of attorney of what they choose to disclose with other people. Even more so though, there's laws like if the person still has a say in their own care. So it gets hairy. But bottom line is that nursing home neglect is a really, 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 really huge problem. And social media has been a really nice way of addressing issues that really need addressed because it just gets it out there so fast. So even though part of me is like, we need to quit putting pictures up of people being abused in nursing homes because it can be very traumatic, it can be very triggering. If you've had a loved one that did experience neglect, I know I've worked places where I would come in after certain employees, and literally we would call it like the angel aura, because there'd be so much urine and feces around them that it looked like, you know, the Our Lady of Guadalupe and how she like had that glow around her. It would look like that, and it was really bad. And so I think in a way, it is a really, really good idea to be sharing these things because, you know, the more that you share and make people aware that this stuff is really happening and that you're not just bitching or complaining, excuse me, I think better chance you have at resolving issues. Like I saw one, for instance, they had compression hose on this man or woman, and they were on too tight and for too long, and their feet looked like just huge, like bowling balls. And their legs were so skinny from the wraps being so tight that it literally was just the shape of their bone. And at the end of the wrap by the knee, it went back to being huge. And they had been asking this facility over and over and over again to address this issue. This was not the first time. And so finally they said, fine, we're taping this and we're putting it on social media. And do you know it took them putting that video on social media, and you know the first time they reached back out to the family, you know how it was? In the freaking comment section. They didn't reach out to the family in private. They reached out to the family over social media. So at this point it was like trying to, you know, clean up the mess they made for the public. But did they care about the resident themselves? I don't know. Also, the person that was on, the person that might have been responding from the nursing home might have been one of those staff people that, you know, they've got a big title at that company, but do they ever go there and check on those people? Not necessarily. Now it's just looking bad for the company. Now it's a business move. So I think business-wise, that's their biggest complaint. I don't think that they're worried about HIPAA and people's privacy being violated. I think they just don't want those pictures circulating because it's bad business.
Right.
I mean, based off of what I was reading about it, it was looking as though they were. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, my bad. And the big thing is they're trying to scare these nursing homes into stopping. Well, employees need to never post something that's a huge HIPAA violation, but more so, they're starting to lose Medicaid and Medicare vouchers that, you know, pay for 90% of people in nursing homes are coming from vouchers. So if they lose their vouchers, they lose their business.
I get that too, but what I'm trying to say is wouldn't you want to know that elderly people are being abused when they're supposed to be taken care of? And now there's pictures of this online. Like, oh shit, why are you abusing these elderly people?
But they don't
what
care.
What is your problem?
That's why the problem with nursing home is they don't care about the residents. They care about the quantity of the people there and how much they pay to be in that facility.
So why would federal officials seek to stop social media abuse of nursing home residents? Because it seems as though the social media is abusing them. But the social media is not abusing them. They're being abused. There's a picture of it, then that picture is being put on social media.
Social media is exposed abuse. They don't want abuse exposed because it's bad business. Those places are going to lose new residents, which means they're going to lose money.
Right.
So they don't want the federal, they're getting involved because in the long run, they are losing money. People are keeping their family members at home. They're caring for them themselves. They're doing this because it's bad business, period.
Wow. All right. So it makes it seem as though, like, the government is getting involved and, like, doing what lobbyists want. The lobbyists from the healthcare providers are like, we need you to stop these pictures being put on because it's hurting our business. And then the federal officials are like, okay.
Because, I mean, federal officials are getting paid through this program as well. They are all affected. They don't care about how the people are actually being affected as long as no one's finding out.
Yeah.
That sounds really bad. We might need to dig into that a little bit more, to be honest with you. But on that note,
It's real.
I guess that's the headline. Oh, my bad, Eddie. What'd you say?
So when it involves money, man, it gets real patchy. Real.
Right.
Oh, yeah. More money,
And I
more
mean,
problems.
and these people are paying minimum $5,000 a month to be in these facilities. So you lose one person for $5,000 a month. You just lost $60,000 for a year, not including anything extra. That's for one person.
Hi, yes.
One facility.
My name is James. I just wanted to know, I saw a picture of my grandfather being completely abused on social media, and I wanted to come check on him. No, federal officials said that didn't happen. So.
It's literally the saying, didn't see it, didn't happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
On that note, I guess that's the headlines, but that's some bullshit if you ask me. But we are going to move on from that because I'm about to get mad.
That was a good one, John.
It was. All right. So, without further ado, let's get into the good stuff. I'm so excited about this because I want to talk to my dude in person, and I want to get, all sides, all perspectives, and I think it'll be good for everybody. Because you get, I'm all about perspectives here. So, before we get into that, I want to bring in a friend of mine, Facebook friend. We live close to each other, so we've been trying to kind of link up, but everybody's been a little busy and things such as that. But we got Satsu 2 Cents, YouTuber, aka Tyrone, who and congratulations, by the way. I've been following your Satsu 2 Cents Facebook page, and your subscriber count has just skyrocketed in the few months that we've been acquainted. So I want to give you congratulations about that. But before we get into the topic, go ahead, introduce your, tell everybody who you are, where we can find you, a little bit about yourself, whatever you'd like before we get into all this, and and don't be ashamed. Let the peoples know. So Tyrone, everyone.
All right, what's going on, guys? As he said, I have a YouTube channel called Satsu 2 Cents that I started about 1.5 years ago, and it's basically just me kind of giving my 2 cents on all types of things, and I don't usually, it's not really themed or anything like that, so I don't usually pick anything specific. It's just like, oh, this is interesting, I'll give my 2 cents on it. And like I said, I've been doing it for about 1.5 years, and I did recently get a nice little jump in subscribers. I went from 600 to a little over 2,000 now. Which was pretty nice because I was featured in a friend's video who has quite a few subscribers. But nothing too special, just kind of an opinion channel. Talk about topics that range anywhere from religion, feminism, to just basic stuff, video game drama, media drama, whatever's going on. And I just give my 2 cents on that. And me and John have had quite a few back and forths on Facebook, and he's opening my mind up and broadening my perspectives, and I definitely appreciate that, and it's good to be on the show. So
that's what's up, bro. And
We're glad to have you here.
Exactly.
It's long overdue.
It is, and we were on hiatus at the time, so that's part of it. But you give me a different perspective as well, and for me, I like to hear opinions or viewpoints that may be a bit different than my own, because it gives me the opportunity to test my ideals, and if there's factors that I haven't factored in before that are in my mind worthy of using as a basis of coming to the best conclusion, I do so. And the only way that you're going to do that is be around people that don't normally agree with you. And even though we're on the same page, I guess you can say, we're on the same page, but we're in different books, if you will. So the main reason why we had you on here today, Tyrone, is you recently came out with a video that you tagged me and some members of our our intellectual Facebook, debate and conversation crew, if you will. And it was about how good intentions make bad things happen. And I want to be honest with you and say that I liked the way that you brought up the topic. And to be honest with you, I liked the topic at hand. But then obviously there's just a few things that I felt that I wouldn't be able to do justice without asking the crew if it would be cool to have you on instead of whatever random thing that we were going to do. And we as a group, especially you with our audiences, can kind of discuss it and make some things a little bit more clear, or come to perspective on some things that we both may view differently. So when it came to this, good intentions make bad things happen. What exactly were you talking about? Like, what's your thing that you were coming from?
Well, I was just looking at and the thought kind of came to me because over time I've just been I'm a people analyzer, you know what I mean, and I just kind of watch what people do. And as of late, because I was talking to this girl at work about her schooling or whatever, and she had just got out of her mom's house, and she was talking about all the things that she wanted to get into and the things that she was trying to do, but she felt so unexperienced in the world, you know what I mean, because like her parents kind of kept her away from everything. And
right.
And she was like, I know they love me and everything like that. I just feel like I was kind of cheated out of my experience to grow up, and it got me thinking about, the topics and stuff that I talk about. We got all these social movements arising, and it's just thinking about the subject on a broader spectrum when it comes to people with good intentions, because most of the social groups, or all of them actually, if I want to be honest with myself, started out of a good intention. You know what I mean? It's like this bad thing is happening and we need to right this wrong. And obviously everything has not gone in the direction that they wanted them to go to. Rather, we're talking about the right or the left, or feminism, or Black Lives Matter, or whoever, and each and every group or social group or whatever. There are some things that get overlooked when people look at these groups as a broader presence. So it's like, I'm a feminist, so I fight for all women, and I'm with Black Lives Matter, I fight for all black people. And the one thing that I came to is a lot of them end up hitting these stops where they come to a point where not all black people are standing with them, or not all women are standing with them, and you get this kind of disconnect from the movement where it's like, okay, I want to fight for all black people, but then I got these black people over here telling me to shut the hell up. So it's like, how do you get the perfect balance of saying that I do want to fight for the people who agree with my interest without excluding the people who don't agree with you? And my brain exploded after that. So this is kind of where we are.
Right. And when you look at things, I guess, or if you're able to look at things in, I want to call it like a microbial chasm. I can see where that ideal can throw you for a loop and can make you feel that way. But when you look at things at a macro level, as far as the way the macro is, and I'm using the kind of units of measurement that I'm using is macro. When you look at things at a macro level, like how things work out with Department of Justice numbers, or FBI numbers, or just overall the best scientific statistics that we have. When you look at things at a macro level, things aren't where they're supposed to be as per what we say that we are as a country. Does that sound right, guys? Am I saying that right? Does that make sense to you?
No.
But just that one part. But okay, then I'll finish my thought. But then you have the micro level, which is like us on an individual level. But then I brought up the microbial level. And what I mean by that is when you break it down even more,
I was working in the other direction. Yes, I understand.
Okay. Then I can see where you're coming from. And in terms I agree. But I guess the part that I was having an issue with when you were making your points in the video, and I don't want this to be about a making an issue show. I don't want this to seem like we're jumping down your throat. By no means whatsoever. There's a part where you talked about that you just want to understand where those type of people are coming from. And even though that I can't speak for them, nor would I ever try to speak for them, I think I have an idea of being able to communicate the idea to you to kind of help you understand, right? So the part that I had an issue with is when you were talking about like the fact that, you know, when you look at it at the level that what you're saying makes sense, that what they're doing seems to be working against them. And I would kind of disagree with you and say that I don't think that it's working against them. I think that they're trying to find anything that gives them a little bit of leeway. And you can see that in political theater. You can see that in sports. You can see that in gaming. You can see that in anything that has kind of like a this side, that side competition, that people are always going to try to do the most. Case in point, and then I'll defer back to you or whomever else wants to make a comment. Remember back in the finals, I think it was not the finals, I'm sorry. It was like the Eastern Conference Finals or something like that when Lance Stevenson from the Indiana Pacers was blowing in LeBron James's ear. Remember that? Does anybody else remember that besides me?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, although that's not illegal to do, come on, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bruh. You know that is, okay, yes, it's trying to get into dude's skin, but it's being caught on camera, so it doesn't really look like a good look. Then on top of that, that team whooped your ass, and then you lost the series, so now you really look dumb. You see what I'm saying? Like, but if they would have won, people would have said that was the reason. You see what I mean? So you're trying to do any little thing to kind of give you the edge, and if it gives you the edge, you're like, oh, yeah, then you get on to the next thing you're trying to go to. But if it doesn't give you the edge, then it looks ridiculous. And so for the people that are already like, what are these dudes trying to do, having something that looks ridiculous kind of, in their mind, destroys their whole point, even though it doesn't destroy their whole point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have, you know, my classic tree example.
Go ahead, Tyrone.
Well, yeah, let me see if I can understand you correctly, because if I apply that statement to the context of the video, especially so during some of the first examples that I gave with like the parenting and everything like that,
Right.
a parent who is really hard on their child and it's for the better interest of what they have going on and they want them to do better and succeed, you know, it could go either way. So they could either, as a result, turn out, you know, a hardened, excellent student who makes straight A's and is like, thank you for being hard on me. Or they can lose their minds and turn into a criminal and say, fuck this shit, I'm tired of it. You know, I guess, you know, when you look at it from that perspective, it's like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to reach this goal, and it's either going to go 100% right or 100% wrong. And I guess from what I was speaking on, is it's just like, and it's not, like I know I titled the video this way, but I wasn't particularly saying, and I didn't know if anybody took it this way. I think most people got it when I was saying that good intentions can make bad things happen. That doesn't necessarily mean that they will. I was just explaining that these are scenarios where good intentions can go wrong.
Right.
And adding to, like, so I guess that's perfect where I want to start with what you're saying. So first of all, I'll say that overall, even on the videos, which there are many that I don't agree with you on, your voice is like so monotone and perfect that like even when I'm just like I can't listen anymore, like I just still keep listening because it's just like I don't know. So it's good.
This is the dark hour.
Like it's just like you know those
Tyrone,
like it's like
Satsu 2 cents.
It's like those videos like where they're doing like ghost stories and like it's like they're monotone but like it's perfect. So that's a compliment. I give really weird backwards compliments. So that's like totally a compliment. But even so on top of that, so like how you were just saying just now, so I guess one of the things that really bugs me when I talk about people with anything is when I feel like what they're saying has a very absolutist type of mindset. Mm-hmm. And I kind of listen for keywords, and a big you in this video particularly said always so many times, and as soon as I start hearing words like always, never, you know, those ones that just leave no room for possibility, like I automatically, even if I agreed before, I have to stop right there. Because, like, there is no always, and there is no never. Like,
That's a fair
you know,
assessment.
unless it's like 2 + 2 = 4, like, it's never going to equal 5, because it's math. But even more so, like, there's always, like, 99.999999999. Like, there's always a chance. So that's where it kind of starts frustrating me, because, like, just in the beginning of the video, it was very, like, always, they're always going to fail. You know, a social justice group for, you know, the Black Lives Matter people, if they set themselves up for failure, they're always going to fail. And that's where it gets a little frustrating. So I always go back to this idea of a tree. Like, when all else fails for Molly, I go to my tree, okay? And I really, like, look at the root system. So this one time I was digging up these, like, bushes at my dad's, and I was looking at the roots, and I pulled them out because they were, like, so thin. Like, I was like, this is crazy. These were the hardest effers to ever pull out of the ground. But, like, they look like little tiny delicate pieces of hair. So if you look at, like, the Black Lives Matter thing like that, or feminist issues, because I used to call myself a feminist, and now I'm just like, it's kind of what you're saying, that it gets driven so hard that I'm just like, all right, I don't think I can use that title because it feels very absolutist at times. But if you think about it, there's always going to be those ones that just, they mean well, the intentions are there, and they're good, but they're pushing in the wrong direction. So if you're looking at, like, a huge root system, right? Everyone's pushing in that direction. They're trying to get the tree to grow, and it's growing, and you see that there's success. And those small roots, they still play a purpose, even though they're not cheering on that tree to grow, whether it be they're still sneaking in nutrients, or perhaps actually they're sneaking nutrients to the tree 3 miles away that we don't see right now, but there's always a purpose being served. And as long as, for the most part, the progress is going in the direction that is going to prove successful, they still have a purpose. So even though those ones are usually the ones we hear about, like, did you hear about root number 47624? Like, he was giving stuff to the other tree, and we need him in this tree. Like, maybe the other tree kind of needed him. You know, like, so as it seems like we hear a lot of those stories, you know, I've had my issues, like, I'm super, like, down for the cause, but I've been beaten down so many times by people in the Black Lives Matter movement who start questioning me that there have been times that I'm just like, you know what, maybe I should back out. But then at the end of it, I know that I can't, because in the bigger picture, I still want that tree to grow, even though they're trying to tell me that I shouldn't be a part of it. So I have to make my choices based on what I think is best for the greater good. And that's the decision I've chosen to make, regardless of where I have figured out my place to be within the movement. And then on top of that, so how you gave the example of the parent with the kid, which is perfect, but right there you're looking like super, super micro, and that's where, like, the changes differ, because that's when, like, the little root 476543 was like, hey Mom, I don't know if I'm feeling this tree. And the mom's like, well, you know, you can do whatever. And, like, that was a very minor decision in the grander scheme of things. They still play a part in it because they're still a root in the tree. Just like a Black Lives Matter, you know, Black people, for the most part, are still involved in the movement, even if they aren't on the exact same page, and even if they think this is stupid, or even if it's one of the people that was walking around with Confederate flags.
Because they could be a hashtag tomorrow, whether
right.
you agree with it or not.
They're still a part of it, and no matter what, I'm still going to move in the direction of progress for that person or that root, even if they don't think that, you know, they need to be a part of it. I need to be a part of it,
right.
And I need to keep pushing it forward. So even though I get what you mean, because the feminist thing is a little different for me, and I think in the long run we still need to keep pushing for, you know, equality in many ways. We need to keep pushing, you know, to not be shamed for having periods. We need to not feel weird because we have nipples that tend to have greater, you know, mammary glands behind them than the rest of you penises. Like, but
what?
there are a lot of things. I know, but I'm just being facetious. John.
Oh, okay.
But
I was like, where did that come from?
It was a joke. It was a joke. So, But in the grander scheme of things, I still want equality for women.
Right.
I'm just not down for being a man-hating, I'm not going to be a free bleeder. Like, I'm not going to do it. Some of that's like, ugh,
And
you're kind of making it weird.
I want to get to that, and I want to ask, because there was a big thing in there where Tyrone was asking, like, what is it? Like, what? I don't get what it is, what? And we'll get to that in a second. But before we do that, go ahead. Go ahead, bro. I was gonna say, and then Eddie, I wanted to have him, give his Eddie 2 cents. But go ahead, bro.
Well, I just wanted to respond to some of the things she said.
Yeah, of course.
Fresh in my mind because she gave a lot of fair assessments, and she said a lot, so I'm trying to still remember.
Yeah, my bad. If I don't say it, I forget it, so I just had to spew it out.
Okay. Well, first off, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And secondly, when it comes to the context of the video, especially regarding when you said that I say always or whatever in that situation, the context of that statement, or at least what I was trying to convey with that statement, was being in the mindset that I presented, which was believing that what you are doing is for the betterment of all the people, who whatever group that you're trying to go for, will lead you into a path where you're going to find this resistance no matter what, because you cannot be, and this is my opinion, but this is what I truly believe, you cannot be, your mindset will never be for the betterment of any given group 100%, because there is always going to be somebody within that group who disagrees with you. And as long as there is even just one individual in that entire group, let's just say the entirety of black people or the entirety of women or whoever we're talking about believed in what you were saying, but there was one person who didn't, then you don't fight for all of them, because that one person doesn't want anything to do with that. And that's kind of where I was getting that statement from, and and that's where I had got that statement from. So that's the first point.
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
Hmm?
Oh, I guess I just in regards to that, because I guess I'm just thinking like how John said, like, even if there's black people that are like, well, I think everything's great, I'm fine, I think this black lives thing is stupid. Like, I still, like John said, when they end up being the next hashtag,
You're not your phone.
if they end up being a hashtag, like, I was still there for them.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So it makes it difficult.
Like
I completely understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just,
And then what was the rest of what you were saying, bro?
Yeah, and I like when you guys, especially because and I was telling John about this when we were talking about it on Facebook. Like, I tend to look at things on a micro level, because when I like John, he's big on history. You know what I mean? He has the contextual complexities of all the type of things that's been going on throughout the world, and he is very knowledgeable on all of that stuff. And me, throughout my life, I've been kind of sheltered. You know what I mean? And I've only really been able to examine individuals. That's kind of been my focus in life. And because I've worked in sales, and everything that I've done has been on an interpersonal level, as in from every person I meet, no matter what color, what race, what age, what gender, it was just like, this person is their own person. Whenever I examine things, I examine the individual. So when we're talking about, things being on a micro level, that's about as micro as they can get. But in the grander scheme of things, I absolutely understand where you guys are coming from, because if you look at it in a broader way, then absolutely there are a lot of things that come into play, like the greater good and working towards a better tomorrow, even if it's at the expense of maybe some people who don't want to go there, as long as the majority are the beneficiaries, then that's where it goes. Because even those people who don't want to go there, if the end result is everybody benefits, even though they didn't want to be there, they're still going to benefit, and they're not going to complain about it. So, I understand that absolutely. So I just wanted to clarify that. I do realize that I'm speaking on a micro level, and I think that was pretty much my intention, because like I said, my vision doesn't extend that far, unfortunately. And John is trying to help me get to that point, which is why me and him are cool as fuck.
Right.
Wait, that's funny, right? That's funny because what you just said kind of sums up, I think, the whole thing. By the way, my name's Eddie. Nice to meet you, Tyrone. Great to have you on. So I think it's funny because what you said, you felt like what you did in the video had a good intention, right? And then you talked about a video. The whole part of the video was talking about how good intentions can lead to bad decisions, right? And then just now you talked about how after the criticism that you were trying to do something with a good intention. I'm not saying that like what your decision was bad, but I think it's kind of ironic that it's sort of coming full circle. Do you see that?
I'm not sure what you mean.
What I'm saying is like we're talking here about good intentions, bad decisions, right? So someone could arguably say, oh, so Tyrone had this good intention of trying to speak with, let's say, for example, the parenting example, and use that as a way of kind of talking about how someone's decision or with good intention can lead to a bad decision. And I'm saying that like it's interesting because you seem to have recognized within yourself that coming into the video you had a good intention in terms of presenting your content on a micro level. And with that context not necessarily being clearly communicated, someone could arguably say that's not a great decision.
Well, it depends because it's for me, the way that I see it, it's all about context and perspective. And depending on the context and the perspective, if we were to focus solely on the strict context of the video, then if you go in knowing that he is talking about individual instances of people who think that they fight for everybody, then as long as you take the message as what it is, then it's fine. But if the conversation shifts to a more systemic problem, like something that's more on a cultural level, something that's more macro, as he says, then it could be perceived that way, yes. But in the context of the video, no, I don't think so. But I do understand how you came to that conclusion.
So here's the one thing, Tyrone, that I kind of admire, but then at the same time, since I literally watch it, like every big video that, and I've looked at others on my own, so don't think that the only things that I've ever seen is whenever you send me links. I don't think I've seen all of them, but I've seen a good majority, close to it, maybe single digits that I haven't seen. And the thing that I kind of want to like sun you, if you know the reference, like I just want to grab you under my wing a little bit, is like I really 100% can see where you're coming from and can see the points and can be like, oh, that's pretty valid. And when you're looking at it, when, like as you say in the video, when you do mental gymnastics, so there's points and times in your videos that I'm on a macro level like, oh, that's valid. But then you say something else, and then I'm like, on the macro level that doesn't apply, but on the micro level that's valid. Then I'm like, okay, yeah, but those are like you're cutting off the effectiveness of your message. Then you make another macro point, and I'm like, oh, yeah. And then you make two micros, and I'm like, yeah, I get you, but that is not what statistics, you know what I'm saying? So my thing about it is to make your point entirely. If people were to take what you're saying and apply it to a macro level, then there can be some questions. And my big thing is that for the most part, the people that I see not agree with you like that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. But the people that I see agree with you that go beyond just saying, oh, I agree with what you're saying, and they give their viewpoint, overwhelmingly use what you're saying to fit their macro worldview and agenda, which is ironic again because you're talking about, how arguments and points of view are used in a micro and macro way to affect change in society for good intentions that may or may not bring bad intentions. So I ask you this. All right, so if you look at America, you look at a country, you look at a government, You look at even a video game team, right? Everybody isn't going to be at the same level. But whether I go 50-3, kill death ratio, so 50 kills and 3 deaths, and Molly, I'm sorry not to use you as an example like you suck, because you are pretty good at Destiny, and Molly were to go 2-35, but we still get the win, she still benefits even though she's upset with her performance, or other people are upset with her performance.
I think it should be the other way around. Maybe
it should have been the other way around. I was just making my point. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you give your points of view are valid, but what they do is allow people to skip nuance and skip the macro and skip the actual things that are going on to invalidate groups as a whole when they do things of aggression or things that are ignorant or things that are stupid in that individual situation. You know what I'm saying? They use that as a whole. So take, for instance, like Mike Brown, or when people say thug, right? They're talking about that one specific person, but in context of their comment, especially when they go on, you can tell that they're talking about a group as a whole, right? But if they were to have a conversation with me, they wouldn't apply me to that group. But what they're saying does apply to me. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's like an ignorant security blanket.
Kind of. And I don't want to make it seem like you're an ignorant, like you're an ignorant security.
But if you have the wrong people listening, they easily could be like, oh, see, I wasn't doing anything that was bad.
Because he said it. Like, you got to keep in mind, and this is the part that gets tough.
Easily. When there's any leeway, it's so easy to just
go ahead, Eddie.
Snatch up the wrong interpretation.
I was trying to hear more of what Mike was saying.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, I just was saying it's like the ignorant security blanket is what I said, but not in a sense of like, not using like the term ignorance like stupidity.
They just don't know.
Or anything like that, but it just gives them a way to feel safe within their ignorance if they don't understand completely what you're saying. If they're looking at your micro as a macro, they find safety knowing or feeling as though you're giving validation that the choices that they've made that are not supportive are actually okay.
Right.
Which can end up being damaging.
This gets to the thing, right, is what I was saying to try to draw full circle, right, is that if you're coming in with a Tyrone with a good intention, and by the way, I just want to first say, I enjoyed the way you presented the video. I think it's important to, with any sort of constructive criticism, also give compliments, right? And I enjoyed the vibe of the video.
Yes, agreed. Sorry.
It was very easy to flow with it and be like, all right, cool, man, let me just hear what this dude got to say. Okay, keep playing some video games, what's going on? It's cool, right? So, all that good stuff going on. And so I think with everything that Molly and John are saying, with the macro, and then the ignorant security blanket and all of that, is to say that the ironic full circle for me here is the fact that you talked about a video that was about how good intentions can lead to a bad decision, and then you yourself came into this video with some level of good intention, and it's not even to say that coming into the video with, in the words that you said, was a bad decision, but it's a type of thing where it's expected to be like, ooh man, that wasn't the best thing, because now we're talking about the knock-on effects, right? And so when you look at the knock-on effects of something that you decide to do, whether that's through your words or your actions, then you realize, oh crap, like, it feeds something that you're not even really trying to feed, right? Because you said from the beginning, oh, I was trying to focus on the micro. But that's the thing. If you're going to assume people are going to understand your intention, that's where it's the type of thing where that can actually lead to a bad decision, right? Because you want to assume the best in people, but they may have a whole different ball game going on.
That may be true. You're making a very good point there, but the one thing that I would argue though is, one thing I've learned from YouTube is the people, like just having a channel for a while, you start to learn that especially John, you can attest to this too. The conversation that I showed you from that commenter yesterday, that crazy fucker.
Yes. Yeah.
Like what I've learned is, let's just say, I presented it in a very macro like way, and the people who watch the videos with intentions to see it in a macro like way, they would take that message in that way. But the same people who would come to that video to take it for all of its micro aspects would still take it that way. So
so then here's the thing, Tyrone.
Go ahead.
So then here's the thing. That's what we're getting at. You have to ask yourself, how are you going to strike the balance if you wish to?
Well, that I think that goes along the lines of what John was telling me when he said, silver lining is important. So, which I felt I don't think I was totally negative about the scenario, and because of the fact that the context of the video was how sometimes good intentions can lead to bad things, it was scenario based. So, and it's like I said, when it comes to the perspective of the person who's watching the video, they're going to perceive it however they want to perceive it. So,
Right.
I delivered the message the way that I thought about it, because clearly I'm giving my 2 cents about it. And, there are a lot of systemic things going on, but I wasn't given the observation based on systemic, like what I've seen as a systemic whole. I'm just speaking about the individual, because everybody who's in Black Lives Matter and everybody who's a feminist does not think that way. They don't all generalize one group and say that I'm fighting for all people. That's not a universal mindset. That's only, set for the people who are, I guess, arrogant enough to think that they can speak for all people. And like I said, it's not everyone. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like because I kept it, contextually sound, like I kept it along the lines of what I was trying to get at, somebody else's misinterpretation, they're gonna see it how they want to see it. But then, like I said, that's just my opinion.
So for me, it's not even about the misinterpretation, honestly. Honestly, for me, this is more about you and like your path, right? How honest you are with yourself. And what I mean by that is that how far are you going to with your roots? Because that's the type of thing where anyone can say, I thought this video was contextually sound and all these type of things, and I'm gonna be the type of person who's gonna take what you say as is, but okay, and how are you sure? And I'm gonna keep pushing you, and how are you sure until I really get a sense of how sure you really are, how much you trust yourself and every word you say and what comes out of it.
Oh yeah, I mean I can understand that, but like I said, because and even with the things that you guys pointed out, which are valid points, that all comes down to the general direction of the video, which, to put in a better term, what was my intent with the video? And my intent was to present it the way that I presented it. So when.
So what was that presentation?
What was that?
What was that presentation?
You said what was the presentation?
Right. We're just doing the following the logic.
Oh, the presentation was to be on, like, the intent of the video was to be on a micro level. So when I spoke about that one specific parent who told their kid, or who pushed their kid harder, or that one coach who pushed their student or whoever too hard or whatever, or some people within a group who claim that they speak for all people, I was truly talking about those individual people, and I was saying I do not understand those individuals' mindsets.
Right.
So it wasn't anything systemic. It wasn't about like the overall stemming view or what contextual relevance based on history that led them to that. It was simply these people who are doing this thing, I don't understand how they feel they're going to be successful while thinking that they can speak for all people. And that was truly the context of the video. That's where I was going, and that's where it went. So, and like I said, of course it's open. People are going to take the message however they want to, especially when they're trying to self-validate. But,
Right.
So
that's what people do.
If that was your message, then I'm kind of confused why it wasn't just 2 minutes or less.
Truthfully, because I was rambling. It's
So, okay, so then that gets to a different thing, because if you're rambling, then that means that, because what you communicate to us, number one, your intention, and number two, your key message, right? And
Right.
then from there on, you have your decision on however long you want that to be. But then you got to be accountable if you choose to however you ramble dilutes or enhances or does not add much or whatever else you want to say to your actual message. And then it becomes the type of thing that's like, well, this is my intention, this is what I felt I communicated. And then the question is, how effectively did you communicate that, right? And that's the type of thing where it's like, I'm not even talking about how other people received it. I'm talking about for yourself.
Right. So, as far as myself goes and how I think I communicated the message, even after listening to the video 3 or 4 times, because I usually do while I'm editing it, I felt I got my message across. I said what I needed to say. I felt it was coherent enough for people to understand the message, and to get what I was saying. And even throughout the video, I said, I don't really know, because like I said, the concept in itself confused me, which is why I decided to talk about it, because I don't understand the mindset itself. I just felt I wanted to point out the mindset and see if somebody could help me understand it, because I don't understand. I truly do not get how a person can look at a situation and say, I am a person who speaks for all other people like me, and believe that to be true. So it was basically an inquiry, but it was me kind of giving my 2 cents on that situation and that mindset, and pretty much talking about how I don't get it.
I guess in the grander picture, for what you're saying is that even though I understood the message really clearly, that your intention was that this was talking about specific individuals, but the issues that these specific individuals that we're supporting are so much on a grander scale that it's hard to remember that you're talking about a micro, and that can be a little confusing. But
it depends, because I feel like if I didn't mention, and that's why I gave numerous examples, because the situation, like you guys said, is nuanced, and I didn't stick to I could feel I think I get what you guys are trying to say to me, and if my video specifically talked about groups like Black Lives Matter and feminists and everything like that, I think you would be very I couldn't disagree with what you guys were saying, but I wasn't specifically talking. They were a part of the video, but I did talk about the individual. So when we're talking about a parent who is really hard on their child because they really want them to be something for themselves, that has nothing to do with the grander scheme of things. That just has something to do with a parent.
So the issue is that the examples you picked are kind of sound like you're trying to have it both ways. Because if you're just trying to talk about the individual, like parent, then it would make more sense to pick examples along that theme. Because once you go to the way that when we talk about feminists or someone in the Black Lives Matter movement, that's a completely different thing, right? Because you can have a parent who's in the Black Lives Matter movement, you can have a feminist who's in the Black Lives Matter movement, right? And it kind of becomes this type of thing where it's like, that's where it's like, well, wait. I think this is where John was talking about, was like the micro, the macro, and then the macro, because it's like once you use an example that ties in the macro, you've changed the context of what you're actually talking about.
Well, yeah, to a certain degree, but I would have to ask you.
Then that changes, the context in which you are speaking, right?
Well, let me put it like this, because I think that what is being not lost, but what I think needs to be explained, right? Silver lining. I'm all about silver lining. is that this always brings up a conversation that I think that I remember that we had, Tyrone, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember you telling me that part of the reason why you view things and conclude things the way that you do is because you didn't have the same experience as the people that are telling you that you're supposed to have had this experience. Am I correct on that, or am I missing something?
Yeah, that's about the gist of it.
Okay. So my thing about it is this example, and this is an example that I've always wanted to bring out, but then I always forget about it, and I remember it now, and it's perfect, that I get to broadcast it. So the tone and the point that I'm trying to get across is a lot more clear. I've never broken a bone in my entire life, ever, not once, never broken a bone. I'm not going to be cocky enough to think that I'm never going to break a bone, because I might get old and my bones may get brittle, and I might break a bone when I'm 2 days before I die. You know what I mean? But me personally, right now, I've never broken a bone. So because I've never broken a bone, does that mean that I have to, or that I should disparage hospitals from having bone breaking procedures, or the facts on how to minimize breaking a bone, or what to do when a bone is broken, that information not be in the ether, and be known within the majority of people, because I'm a statistical outlier and I've never had to deal with these things, and it gets to the point where it's like, I can have that viewpoint. I'm viewed to have that viewpoint. And I'm not putting that viewpoint on you specifically. I'm just putting that viewpoint in general. And I'm mainly using it for the people that will never, ever, 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 ever deal with these experiences. Because even though you may not have dealt with it, you can still empathize because it's around you. So I'm talking about the people that will never deal with it, right? And I don't want to use those terms, but for the most part will not likely ever, in their lifetimes deal with it. Right. So me personally, I don't like to put myself in situations where I can break a bone. Could I get ran over by a car? Yeah, I could. And I'm gonna break my leg or break my rib or something like that, right? But I personally am not going to put myself in a position that is going to get my bone broken, because I've never, especially since I've never had that before. So it gets a little irritating from people who've had a bone broken, for me to sit there and be like, well, they shouldn't even have, the ability for you to get your bones taken. It's like it's a broken bone. Set it and it heals, right? Isn't that what bones do? And people are going to come back and be like, yeah, well, you've never broken a bone before, so you don't really know how it is. Another good example I like to use, especially with women, is I will never, and I can use this one, I will never, ever in my entire effing life have a period. So I can never, ever, ever, ever tell a woman how she is feeling when she's having a period. Pause.
Or ever in general.
Can she exaggerate to get something that she wants? Yes. Could she be lying in order to get you to, the F away from her right now? Yes. Can I even still at that point say anything about how they're feeling? No, I can't. Even if I know they're lying, even if I know it's bullshit, even if I do, does that seem fair? No, it doesn't seem fair. But biologically, right? When we talk about fair, biologically, I don't push babies out of my vajayjay. So because I don't push babies out of my vajayjay, I really, 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 really can't say shit. Now I can say shit, but each and every woman, take that back, most women, with an exception of a few, but then even then they will get side-eyed, will give you a side-eye when you're like, look, I know you're having, if you were to tell your girl in public, look, I know you're going through the time of the month, or even in private, but public, people will be able to look at you. Hey, I know you're going through your thing right now, all right, but you really need to stop acting like that. Like, you really shouldn't act like that. Someone's going to look at you like, did this nigga just tell his girl what it is like to have a period right now? Something that he can never have. That is what racism is kind of like. And yes, there are times when people exaggerate. And there are times when people make shit up. And there are times when people do something that is a bad look. And there are times that you're just done with it, but people just keep harping the issue. But that's because it happens. And that's because it's real. And that's because it affects people. And that's because it affects people's lives. And that's because those people that have those lives it happens to don't want it to happen to them or anyone else that looks like them. Even if it may not happen to you because you don't put yourself in a position to break your bone. You could. And because you have the ability to maybe one day break your bone, we want to make sure that you have the ability to get that bone set, that bone healed correctly, and that will not give you any lasting effects because you broke your bone. But if we let the people that have never broken their bone before dictate what it is, what it means, and how it feels to have a bone broken, then we will never advance in bone breaking medical science. You see what I'm saying? And me personally, I'm playing No Man's Sky. I want to get into a spaceship and fly around with my little multi-tool and mine resources. But I will never fucking get there if there is a lot of people that still don't believe that the climate can change based off of carbon factors. Like, that just makes me want to break all things on people's face. And the fact that they feel that way, our country, scientifically, critical thinking-wise, cannot move forward because we can't get people to understand that there is a livable time period that our type of organism can withstand, and that based off the totality of Earth, there are time periods where there's carbon levels, whether that be man-made, whether that be through the planet, that we can live. But there will be a time, whether that's our fault or the planet's fault, that those carbon levels will not be that way, and we will not exist. So let's, you know what I mean? We're gonna die. There's gonna be a time period before the sun blows up that we're not gonna be able to inhabit the Earth for a long time. But while we are here, let's let that happen as long as possible. Maybe if we're smart enough and we allow critical thinking and scientific thought, blah, 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 we might figure out a way for the carbon levels to never change again the way negatively like that. I'm pretty sure it's possible, but we can never do that if we have a good hundreds of millions of people that don't even believe it exists. You see what I'm saying? And that is the crux of what I'm trying to say is, yes, you're making valid points about microcosm stuff. There's stuff within Black Lives Matter. There's stuff within feminism. I've written about it. You've read about it. You've read it. You've done a video on it. We can agree that there are things that are annoying as shit that these little niglets need to just stop doing in order to get their point across, right? But at the end of the day, I can't really tell them shit because they're doing more than I am. And if I want them to move to the next phase and I want to get to the next point, then if I'm not going to be there doing the annoying shit, then I need to figure out a way myself to do the not annoying shit to move to the next phase. And for me, this is this forum.
And
I get what you're saying. I feel like we're shifting though, kind of into the point to where it almost kind of like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost kind of seems like you guys are saying that I am trying to invalidate those people. Now that's the message that I'm getting, but I don't know if that's where you're going.
Okay. You're not trying to invalidate those people. No. What you're doing, not what you're doing. What you conclude.
They're hearing a much different message than you're trying to portray.
Exactly. So you can take my article that I wrote about, social justice warriors beneath the mask, right? Where I basically call some of them supervillains. But the reason why I call some of them supervillains is not only my experiences that I've had, the experiences that I've seen them do to other people gave me pause to the things that I was doing with them. And then when I experienced their wrath, I was like, man, this is already what I fucking concluded already. But thanks for making the point. You're doing the shit to me. I was trying to keep it copacetic. I was trying to keep you at arm's length. You know what I mean? And let you do what you do, and we be acquaintances. You know what I mean? But I need to distance myself from you. But you literally did stuff to me and to my family and to people that I care about. Over what? You know what I mean? So, I wrote that article saying that there is an element that is absolutist that only are looking for revenge, and they think they're using the idea of social justice to get revenge, and you'll have that. You will have that. You'll have the people, I use the Lex Luthor, if you're a comic book person, the people that comic books out there, Lex Luthor, I take that back, let's use real world. Donald Trump, because he's a comic book character, right? Straight out of a comic book, Jim Kelly. Donald Trump, you think that he's running for president. And the people that are his supporters think that he's a straight talker, even though they have to, they have different interpretations of what he says. So if you're a straight talker, you can't really have different interpretations of what you say. So that's one thing. You know, he seems as though he's trying to save the country and do good for the country, but all he's doing is inflating his own ego. You see what I'm saying? And that is what I see in some social justice people. Now, you can make those valid points. The point that we're trying to make is, when you make your valid points, I don't know whether you see it or not, or whether you understand it, or whether you're like, oh yeah, well he said that, but I'm just gonna keep it on the back burner a little bit. But there are a good portion of your audience that views what you say as, he said it, black guy said it, I'm right, I'm just going to continue to vote the way that I need to vote to, even though it's fucking people over. I'm going to continue to have viewpoints. I'm going to continue to have viewpoints that are going to fuck people over. And at the end of the day, even though these people are speaking for, quote-unquote, all people, you have to do that. That's how you come to a conclusion. Whenever you problem solve, what you're trying to do is come to the best conclusion that is going to positively affect the most people possible. And if it does negatively affect someone, it's going to negatively affect them in a threshold that is acceptable. If that threshold then hits a not acceptable range, therefore your conclusion isn't as valid as you make it out to be. But to sit here and say that raising the minimum wage is going to hurt business is the completely most unmathematical, logical thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. But that threshold, that threshold that was created by big business, and that threshold that's created by politicians, because you can create that threshold too, you know, rhetorically, makes it seem too big for people to handle, because they think, well, if the fast food workers are going to get a raise, then I'm not going to get a raise. No, that's not how it works, nigga. If the minimum wage is $15 and you don't make $15, you gonna make $15 or more. It benefits you too, and people just don't want to see that. So if you give them the ability to hide in their ignorance, to be safe in their security blanket of ignorance, because they don't know, they don't want to know, and they can't know, because if they could know, it'd blow their mind, and they'd be like, wait, what have they been doing all this time? I need to do something. Then it brings cognitive dissonance on your part, because you're like, but I thought I was making a good point. And we're saying, yes, you made a good point, but everyone else that I'm looking in your comment section isn't viewing it that way. So you may have a message that you're trying to put in perspective that is presented very well, just like Eddie was saying. It was presented very well, and I agree with you. The work that you do,
I said that too.
And Molly, the work that you do is excellent, and the points that you make are valid in that box. When you put that box in the warehouse, and someone picks that one little box out of the warehouse to make a grand point, then that's what the issue is. And so I'm saying, from my point of view, if you want your message to be great and grand, and you want these points to be made, you gotta give a silver lining to let the ignorant people know, hey, I know that you may take it this way, and I know that I'm saying it this way, but I mean it like this. And I'm not saying you have to like be as convoluted as I'm making. I'm just trying to make the point. I'm saying this in this specific thing. Don't take this and put it on this, because this doesn't happen that way. We can give you numbers, we can give you history, we can give you average incomes, we can give you educational rates, we can give you different countries, we can give you all these things to let you know that there's a fucking racist issue in this goddamn country. Not saying that you can be ignorant. I'm saying that this certain thing right here is stupid and it doesn't make your point. If at that point they'll go, yeah, I get that, but then I see in your comment section, my issue is the name Black Lives Matter. Like, why has it got to be Black Lives Matter? Like, I don't disagree with them on the whole. I just disagree with them on their little thing like that. You saying what you're saying gives them a safety blanket for them to be like, I'm just going to ignore the most basic part of this whole message that Black Lives Matter is talking about, that yes, all lives do matter. But if that's the case, I have statistics and numbers and everything to give you that proves that that's not the case. Black lives do matter, and if you say that they do, include them in the all. Not only do you need to include them, but you need to include Mexicans, and you need to include Hispanic, Latinos, and you need to include Asians, and you need to include refugees, and you need to include Muslims. And then they go, oh, wait a minute, it's too hard, but they're brown and they're dirty and they make me mad. And that's what the issue is. So it's like you want to be safe, you want to make points, but you want to be safe, but you make this one point, but you don't realize that these people are using it in their macro worldview, or at least to me, it seems that you don't see that they're using it in this macro worldview, which is actually invalidating your point. You're not really getting your point across because they're taking it and using it for something that you may not actually want them to. Does that make sense? I know I said a lot, but does that make sense?
Hey, Tyrone? Is Tyrone still with us?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
It shows him there.
Oh, no.
What do you mean, oh no? He's shown right there.
Yeah, but he's not responding.
I mean,
Did that make sense to you guys?
yeah.
Eddie, did that make sense? Did I make him fall asleep?
To be fair, John, you said a lot.
He said I can hear you.
Oh,
He said his mic.
his mic. One
I'm
sec.
sorry.
I did say a lot, and I didn't mean it to happen that way. It was just like 7 points in my head at once that I had to get across. With the little time that we have left, because I am trying to wrap
Well,
this
that
up.
was it. You took the last 15.
I was trying to wrap this up, but even though I did say a lot, and he's working on his mic right now, did what I say make sense?
Yes.
In some way, yes.
Where didn't I?
Well.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say.
Oh, what are you going to say, Mark?
I was just gonna say, for the most part, I think it makes a lot of sense, but I don't think we have
Can you hear
time
me?
exactly to break. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
to break down everything.
Okay. Well,
Hey, Molly, go ahead and finish your point. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying that I think for the most part, John made a lot of sense, but in regards to him asking what didn't make sense, I mean, I don't have anything that I can point out, but I just know that we're timing. Yeah. I think we need to let Tyrone and Eddie share their final thoughts.
Good one.
Yo,
I
Tyrone.
just I got most of what you guys were saying. The one question that I do have is specifically because I know that we were talking about everything being macro and me presenting it in a way where people can use it that way. So my mindset was going like, okay, because I'm talking about an individual person who holds an individual mindset within a movement, not the movement itself.
Well, so here's the problem, though. I don't think your framework is quite correct if that's the way you're coming at it.
What do you
Why
mean?
is that?
Because it's not that individual is not. They're not necessarily. That's not necessarily their individual mindset, right?
But it
Like
is.
that-
Well, if you think about, well, are you saying that
Because
the
the thing is,
entirety of these groups
what I'm
think
saying
that
is
way?
that I'm saying, like, if that was like a truly individual mindset, it would have a level of uniqueness.
But
But
it
the-
is-
and
But
it's
what
not.
is unique about? But what is unique about what the mindset that you're speaking of here?
well, there's nothing. Well, not all people perceive to think that they speak for all people. So if I walk into a room and I'm in a movie theater and I don't like a movie, I'm not like most people aren't going to get up and say everybody here doesn't like this movie. Shut it off. That's not
But
a
that's
common
different from,
mindset.
like, that's like a different thing from someone in the Black Lives Matter, because the thing is that, like, there's a specific thing that they're targeting in a way that they see as wrong, and they want everyone else to see it as wrong, right?
Right,
Now,
but that's
if
still-
if
that's
you just say
still-
I don't like this movie, you're just speaking of your own volition. Period.
But also keep in mind, though, Eddie, though, that there are people within Black Lives Matter or feminism or whatever that have these really stupid ideas and really stupid viewpoints and take it too far. The men haters, because you do have that, and the people that are pro sex positive, and then you have your sexual neutrals. You know what I mean? Like, but they're still feminine. You have these different parts and things like that.
I'm saying those become subgroups. Those
Right.
become groups.
But at the end of the day, I think what it is at the end
What I'm saying
of
is
the
that
day
like
is,
what I'm saying is that like if you're gonna use the word individual, then and you're gonna tie it to a mindset. If you're going to tie it to a mindset, then it truly needs to be tied to the individual and not be part of some subgroup mindset that's still there. Because everything that you said, John, still can be. There's still people that are going to collect in a group. That's the issue,
right.
and that's why you still
Right.
have the macro element.
Yeah, but I'm still talking about the individuals as
But the
in the
problem
people.
is that you can't divorce, if you're talking about that type of mindset, you can't divorce the individual from a mindset that is greater than just them.
Yeah, but I can't do
Because
that
then
and also talk about the whole group
then
at
it's trying to
once.
have it both ways, and that is my issue, personally.
No, but I'm
But you
not,
got to look at
because
it from
if
a problem-solving aspect. If I'm trying to solve the problem of racism, whether it has affected all black people or not, can affect all black people or not, all black people, whether they want to or not, whether they are Ben Carson, whether they're Omarosa, whether they're Colin Powell, it doesn't matter. Racism still can affect those people. Therefore, someone who's fighting for racial justice is going to do that for all black people, even though it may not affect all black people. When you're
Right,
trying to
and
solve a problem, you
Because
should
my
try
point is
and
that
then conclude at the best conclusion.
They are fighting for Bow Wow even when he does not want to fight for himself.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, and like I said, if we're talking about that specific portion of the video and not the entirety of the context, which was
Right.
individual people, then you guys have a point. But now we're getting to the point to where we're shifting to where it's almost like you guys are saying that my video, like the actual message of my video, was actually to display a macro message, which it never was.
No. The thing is
No.
that whatever your message was, it got lost because you had some macro elements in there that you decided not to really atone for, right? You didn't bring it to this level of saying, okay, I have these macro elements in here because I'm talking about some individuals who tie themselves as something that's greater than themselves. Thus, there is a level of group mindset there. Thus, there is a level of macro elements there. Thus, even though I want to talk about them in an individual level, the problem is that they're still going to be tied to these macro elements. Thus, whatever message I'm trying to get across, that means anyone who attaches to, because the thing is, whatever your message was, that's your responsibility. I'm not worried about that, right? But the thing is that, like, within your content of your message, you use elements that are greater than what you are trying to say, and then you say, I'm not saying that. That to me comes across as a contradiction, because the thing is that you cannot get away from those larger elements, even though you're trying to make a microcosm point.
So basically what you're saying is, despite the fact that I spoke about selective people who have
Right.
this viewpoint, because
Right.
those selective people that I talked about are tied to something that is bigger, then I need
Yes.
to make sure that I address that.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that can be as simple as saying, like, oh, I'm not trying to invalidate what they're saying as a whole, but what they're doing in this specific instance is ridiculous. And you know what that does? What that does is it can't, like, especially in the conversation that you have with that person, and you gave them the transcript of what you said. They literally cannot use your argument to make their illogical macro point within that specific thing that you're talking about, because you've given them that silver lining. It doesn't
Right,
matter
and
how
I
big
get what
or
you guys are
small it is.
saying, but you do know that regardless, I mean, of course, extending that olive branch covers my ass, and I think that's the point that you guys are trying to make, to where I need to, be accountable and cover myself, so that way somebody with a broader spectrum can't come in and say you didn't cover your ass, and that's why they're saying what they're saying. They're gonna say it anyway. So
Right.
as opposed to letting them say it anyway and not covering my ass, I should probably cover my ass and let them be ignorant.
Yeah, like it kind of at the end, if you end up being quoted by somebody, just make sure that you portray yourself and what your message is in a way that if they quote you and they go back for the source, it can't be misconstrued. Like right now, I think that video could have given grounds to someone, like, not necessarily, but a Bernie Sanders message misconstrued, if a Trump supporter steals it, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be really hard to go back and be like, oh, no, that was definitely in support of Trump. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when it was clearly a Bernie Sanders message. It's just really making sure that no one can come back later and say that you said something you didn't.
Right, but I guess the point that me and John were trying to make, because I showed it to John yesterday, and I guess the reason why I didn't see it as a big deal is because there was a dude yesterday who I gave my exact quotes to, John.
Yeah,
I
transcript.
Look,
he printed it out for the
exactly what I said, and he swore up and down that I said something completely different. He took what I said and completely contorted it, even with the exact transcripts. And that's why I was thinking, like, it doesn't really, as long as I'm giving my 2 cents and I'm giving my opinion, people are gonna take what I say for what they want to take it. And if they're gonna do it that way, then I'm just gonna say what I want to say. And that's how it's, but I get what you're saying, though. I do understand what you're saying. Don't think that was the mindset that I was having when I made the video. So don't get me wrong. I definitely understand what you're saying, and I can absolutely see the benefits and how that changes the situation from somebody coming in and saying, you laid the groundwork for these people to enhance their fuckery, as opposed to you laid the groundwork to protect your own ass, and these people are just stupid.
I mean, all you got to do, bro, all you got to do is look at your comment section and see how many people are like, oh, yes, fuck Black Lives Matter. That is not what that dude was saying whatsoever at all.
Right.
Like, that's the point that I'm trying to say.
All you want to avoid.
And so,
that's it.
So I guess one of the biggest questions that I've ever had, and I guess we could leave it as this, because I mean, for me at least, I thought this was a pretty good conversation. But my thing is, for me, I want to know what it is that you would like to accomplish with Satsu 2 cents, because it's just like I told you the one time. And I've seen this happen before. It has happened to us where, I don't want the Pennymon Doctrine to be a black show. Yes, we talk about black things because that's my experience, that's my life, that's the life that I live. And then on top of that, since I do have a forum, I do want to give a voice to what I feel is important, whether it be science, whether it be black people, whether it be women, whether it be LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time. I don't know, whatever it is at the time, right? This is my forum, and I want to put a voice to what I feel is important and try to do it in the best way with the best perspective possible, right? And if that gives me success, great. But I'm still going to do it whether I don't have success. And I've had the time period where I've said something that went against the norm of the group, and we've lost viewers, and that hasn't stopped me. We're on episode number 200 today, so I'm still going, I'm still here, I'm still strong. Antoine Fisher. Now, I want to know what it is that you wish to accomplish, and if the fact that the people that come in and give you a subscribe are the people that are using your micro point of view in a macro sense to validate their illogical point of view, if that's something that you're just like, meh, or is that something that you're trying to just grow an audience and then shave off what you don't need later?
Well, the initial reason why I started this channel, like the actual reason why this channel is a channel to begin with, is because I wanted to learn more about the topics that I was talking about. And me, I'm a very transparent person, you know what I mean? I like to be upfront with people, and I openly acknowledge in a lot of my videos and even in my video description that I am ignorant to a lot of shit. So, if I open up this forum and I just like pour my brains onto this canvas, it will spark conversations like this one, so I can expand my mind and learn more. I don't have a political agenda. I'm not really pushing anything or have a goal for, this to go anywhere or start a revolution or change anything, really. I just want to expand my mindset, and that was the reason why I did it, which is why, I'm glad that it led to a conversation like this, because I see that in the grander scheme of things, which admittedly I wasn't looking in because, I'm not a grand scheme type person, unfortunately, but, there has to be a little more connected to that. especially when talking about things that have a strong contextual history, and that could be at the detriment of people who have suffered by the things that I talk about. There needs to be, some clarity, and there needs to be some form of silver lining and a basis of understanding so people can get to that point. And that's what I learned from, this conversation with you guys right now. But as far as the goal for my channel, I mean, there's no grand scheme. It's just I want to give my opinion, and I want people to come in and either tell me I'm wrong or, teach me something new. That's kind of how it started. And it was really that simple.
You know what, Tyrone? Like, so I picked this up from not only from the video, not only from our conversation today, but this is why I didn't really want to say too much, because I can tell you're on an exploratory journey. And anytime someone's on an exploratory journey, I don't want to say too much about what you should or should not do, because there's a lot of growth there. And that means that there are going to be some times where you might feel like a complete idiot, but as long as you're still breathing, as long as you're still waking up in the morning, you're getting fed, you got your water, you got your shelter, your mind's still working. Hey man, we here for you, right? We're gonna do what we can to help you out. And I'm just happy to hear that you're exploring all that you can, right? And I think it's really cool to hear your viewpoints, and I think I shared this with Molly and John. Like, when we hear the video, I think we hear a sense of quality in what you have to share, right? And I think that's part of the reason why I think we're even drawn to talking about this, because we can tell with just I'll just speak for myself first, and then let Molly and John come in. But I can tell with what you're saying, man, you have a level of depth and a level of quality that I think it's like, okay, I'm willing to listen to you for 15 minutes of my life, right? And to me, like, that's a cool thing to have. And I think it's cool that you are at the stage of being at the micro level. I don't think that's something you have to apologize about. I think, as we talked about, that's something where, once you put it out there, there's some things you got to be mindful of. And I think now, coming away from this conversation, you're aware of that. So I say all this to say, man, all that I've had to say, it's just because what I care about is getting a sense of where your heart's at, man, and getting an understanding of where your heart's at. And whatever way I can help, whatever we can help, is no issue. I just want to make sure, you're breathing, you're living well, all those type of things. When something's not going well, I definitely will get concerned, because, this to me is the crux of, like, the Black Lives Matter thing, is that someone's not doing well. And for me, it extends with anyone, but especially for, our black brothers and sisters. Something ain't going well with you, man, please reach out. Please. Right? Do what we can to help you out. So that's all I got to say, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
I'll just have to say that, after this conversation is now at the tail end, and we've been able to kind of pick apart our looking at the whole thing, looking at it in strictly a micro perspective as you intended, I do agree with you. I think bad intentions easily good intentions can easily lead to bad things. Sometimes people are so passionate about something that it kills them, literally, whether it be your job. I mean, my uncle died of a heart attack. He loved his job so much it killed him. So, I agree with you completely on the micro, and you have me with, the mom and the parent and the kid. Perfect example. Like, I totally agree. And I really appreciate that we were able to have this conversation. And really, I kept thinking a few times during this, like, God, like, I feel like we're just totally jumping on him, and that was not the intention. Right. So, and that's a perfect, good intention. We did not mean to jump on you, and it came on like that at all. And I think that I really appreciate you more than I did listening to your videos, because now we've kind of had a chance to bounce back and forth ideas. So I'm glad you came.
Oh, so it takes Tyrone to actually explain his own words for you to understand that I understood what he was saying, and I was giving that to you.
I'm glad you were here, Tyrone.
And on my end, bro, like, it's what I've always said. Like, your content is great. I think one of the first videos that I saw, it was you just like completely destroying this illogical feminist argument, and with bad statistics and like stupid conclusions and dumb points of view. Like, and when it comes to those things, it's great. But the part that I would always see, and I'd be like, man, I'll be filming this video and I'm laughing, I'm smiling, and then you would say some shit that would apply to the macro, and I'm just like, no, you can't say that part though. Like, that's not how that worked. That's not how that worked at all. Like, I see where you're coming from, and I see where you're coming from, like with the point that you're trying to make. But then you go into your comment section, and they're like, yeah, fuck feminists. And I'm like, I don't think that's what he was trying to say. I think that what he was trying to say was this specific feminist right here got a dumbass argument. And one of my favorite ones of all is the trans guy, the weird, what did he call himself? Like, the weird,
the Justin,
I don't
the guy
know.
who identifies as a girl but still has a penis, but he identifies as a lesbian. Are you
Right.
talking about him?
But has like a thicker beard than like most men.
Oh,
like,
no, you're talking. Oh, never mind. You're talking
Yeah.
about Dakota. That's what you're talking about. Yeah.
I don't even know, but basically you were just jumping on him because he was like, just putting himself out there, but then saying like he ain't trying to put himself out there. And you're like, by your whole presentation, you're trying to put yourself. And I love that stuff. And it's, even for myself, I need to just be brought to a level. Like when Molly told me that I'm that guy, right? And I'm the guy that always makes, like, I do the Family Guy.
Like, so I went to the store. And like, I went to the store. And like, no,
you got to do a little more than that. But
no, that's all you.
It's like
all you need.
It's like the Family Guy cutaway. I think the Family Guy cutaway is the greatest thing on television, and when done correctly, it's the most hilarious thing possible. And so I think that I can do the Family Guy cutaway on everything. I'm that guy.
You guys have noticed how
I've done it
during the show.
Yeah.
I've done that too.
I'll do it. I'll do it because I love Molly's points. And I just want to add a little bit of humoristic, Peter Griffin, Seth MacFarlane flavor. I don't know why I'm doing like this zombie thing right now. But we love your content, and from my point of view, I wanted to have you on to kind of to get where you were coming, because I wanted to clarify to see if what your goal was, and if you were just speaking from the macro element, and why it is that you come to these conclusions. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to see for myself, and then hopefully the audience can. We'll post a link to your video and to your channel on the show notes. But they'll be able to see that for themselves and see kind of where we're coming from, because you have a great message, and like Molly's saying, you have your vocals are great, and I definitely appreciate them. But from someone that has thought about a lot and has lost a lot, and as terms of audience, and have said things that that needed to be said, but are just like, John, why? But no, it needs to be said. I'm not going to sit here and suck Black Lives Matter dick when they're messing up and they're not ever moved into phase 2. Like, you can only raise awareness for so long before you have to come up with some concrete stuff. That's my critique. But at the same time, I know what they're fighting for, so I'm not going to be like, Black Lives Matter ain't shit, when there's just specific people within Black Lives Matter that I wish would fall down and not only scrape their knee or their elbow, but fall into a puddle and get their work outfit or their Sunday's best all dirty and messed up a little bit. I just wish they would just have a worse day at some point, a specific time, every single day. Like, I don't want them to die. I don't want them to lose their goal of what they're trying to do, if what they're trying to do is good intentions. I just want them to just fall down a little bit and scrape that knee and get their white, pastel colored boat shoes or whatever they're wearing just to get dirty, right? That's what I want. But, at the end of the day, I'm going to sit here and be a part of or vocalize the movement as a whole. So no one can say, oh, I read that Beneath the Mask article, and in there you're just shitting on Black Lives Matter. No, because you can read what I said and specifically see that not only did I say that I agreed with their message, and I'm also doing my part, for the most part, to do what I got to do. This specific thing that happens is ridiculous. Their absolutist mindset about, what words they use and how they define it, like you talked about in the video, how they define things. Those are things that need to be brought up. But then when you swipe into and this is why Black Lives Matter is messed up, then that's the buzzword, because, these anti-intellectuals love buzzwords. That's their ding, ding, ding. Oh, he said it. Fuck him. Got the information. I got everything I need to walk around and use you as a way to validate my bullshit. So I just wanted to let you know that, we love you and appreciate you, but we see some problems. Not problems, but we just see some inconsistencies that's just I don't know if that's what your thing is. And if it is your thing, all power to you. That's why we had you on, so you can clarify yourself. So we appreciate that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But like I said, I knew for a fact that my mom was like, "You sure?" Because I was telling her what my channel is, and she was like, just letting your opinion out, in its raw form. You know what I mean? Just kind of you're gonna get some resistance because but I'm like, yeah, it's an opinion. I expect people to disagree with me. That's what I'm doing it for, because chances are if somebody disagrees with you, they're gonna go out of their way to correct you. And usually that's what happens. It just so happens that I tend to have attracted some of the some of the people who maybe agree with me or agree with what the idea of what they think that I'm saying. And that's the topic of discussion, So, but I did this because I want this type of criticism. I did it specifically because I want to be corrected. I want people to be like, maybe you could do this a little better, and maybe you should try to consider this. This is what I want. So I know you guys was she said she felt like you guys were jumping on me. No, I didn't take it that way at all. I'm this is criticisms coming from, and at the end of the day, these are your opinions. You know what I mean? So I'm it is what it is. We're all adults. We're sharing information. I consider myself an intellectual just like you guys do, and I value your opinion. So no hard feelings at all.
We'll let everybody know where you're at, what you got. Where you're at, where they can find you, and hopefully, some of the people that listen to us, give you some subscribes.
All right. Well, I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook community page. You can just search Satsu 2 Cents. You can also find me on Twitter at Satsu 2 Cents or Satsu Gaming, depending on which one you're looking for. I also just opened up a gaming channel specifically. Things are a lot more lighthearted over there, so if you guys are into the whole gaming thing and you want to see me do Let's Plays and everything, you can go over there. It's called 2 Cents Plus. Other than that, the channel is Satsu 2 Cents. That's where you can find me mainly.
That's what's up.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming, man. And with that, guys, we'll see you later. Excuse me. It's been real. It went a little longer than I expected, but I wanted everybody to get their thoughts out. And I appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we can do this again, man.
I look forward to it, man.
All right. And I get to play my outro music. All right, y'all. Well, that was real. And if you got any comments or whatever you would like, go ahead and send that to the Pennymon Doctrine at gmail.com or hit us up on social media. Until next week? Yeah, next week. You guys be easy. I keep forgetting they can't hear it. Sorry, YouTube.